Welcome to this next video on comparable company analysis. Friends, in the previous video, we discussed financial and operating metrics of the companies and their role in calculation of valuation multiples. Then we discussed cleaning of these financial numbers of the company and its importance in calculation of clean and comparable multiples. In the same video, we also discussed concept of LTM financials of the company and why it is important to calculate LTM numbers to get latest multiple of the company. Now friends, we will calculate clean LTM financials of comparable companies of Dr. Pepper, what we selected under step 1. Let's do this, friends. Now friends, let's open Trading Comps template. Friends, as you can see in this template, we have comparable companies of Dr. Pepper, and for these comparable companies, we have already calculated market cap and enterprise value. Now, we will move to the next step and calculate key financials of these comparable companies in this table. Now friends, let's start with our first company, Coca-Cola. This is one of the comparable company of Dr. Pepper. Friends, before we start punching in numbers for Coca-Cola, let's first understand flow of this table. As you can see in this table, we have 3 columns: annual, current year to date, and prior year to date. In this annual column, we need to punch in latest annual numbers of Coca-Cola. This latest annual numbers means latest annual report what Coca-Cola has published on updation date. And as you can see from basic details, Coca-Cola has published December 16 annual report as on updation date of 26 Jan 18. So, in this column, we have to punch in December 16 financials of Coca-Cola. Once we are done with the annual financials, we will move to the next column. And in the next column, we need to punch in current year to date number, which is also called current stub. So friends, what this current year to date numbers means? As you can see in the basic details, that after publishing its annual report, Coca-Cola has also published September 17 quarterly report as till the updation date of 26 Jan 18. So this September 17 annual report is basically for quarter 3 report. And this quarter 3 report covers 2 set of financials. One would be for 3 months for the period of July 17 to September 17. This is quarter 3 number. Then in the same quarter 3 number, Coca-Cola would have reported 9 months cumulative number. So this 9-month cumulative number is cumulative number for 3 quarters, which is falling in between this annual filing of December 16 and quarter 3 filing of September 17. So these 9 months number would be related to a period of Jan 17 to September 17. This is called current stub or current year to date number. Friends, once we are done with the punching in numbers in the current stub, in the next column we have to punch in prior stub numbers, which is prior year to date numbers. So let's understand what prior stub numbers means. As in this case, my current year to date numbers is related to Jan 16 to September 17 period. So my prior stub would also be for 9 months, and the period for the prior stub would be Jan 16 to September 16. This is called prior stub. So friends, this prior stub number would also be available in the latest Q3 filing, as whenever company reports its latest financials, it also make comparison of these latest financials with the corresponding period of the last year. Friends, once we are done with the punching in financials in these 3 columns, we'll move to the calculation of LTM financials, which would be for 12 months. But these would be latest 12 months. So how we calculate latest 12 months number? As we have discussed in the previous video, LTM would be latest annual numbers plus current year to date or current stub numbers minus prior year to date or prior stub numbers. Now friends, let's understand each and every component of this key financials table. In this table, my first number is reported sales. Here, reported means the way company has reported these numbers in its financial statement. So we have to first provide sales of the company, which comes at the top of the income statement. Then we have to punch in reported EBIT or operating income of the company. So this reported EBIT or operating income is what company has reported in its income statement as a income from operation. Then we have to make adjustment, add or less, means reversing impact of exceptional or non-operating items what company has reported above EBIT. Friends, here important thing to understand is you need to make adjustment only for those exceptional items in EBIT which are reported above EBIT, means exceptional items which is impacting your EBIT. Sometimes company reports exceptional items below EBIT as well. So those exceptional items should not be adjusted in your EBIT as they have not impacted your reported EBIT. Once we are done with the punching in or reversing impact of exceptional items on EBIT, in the next row we will calculate adjusted EBIT. So here adjusted means clean EBIT, EBIT without the impact of exceptional items. So how we do that? Here the calculation would be reported EBIT plus reversal of impact of exceptional items. Friends, once we are done with the calculation of clean EBIT, we will calculate clean EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA, which is equal to clean EBIT plus depreciation and amortization expense. So this depreciation amortization expense will come directly from the cash flow statement. Friends, once we are done with the calculation of clean EBITDA, in this next part of the table, we will calculate clean net income. So let's see how we do that. To calculate clean net income, we'll start with the reported net income, what company has reported in the income statement. Then we will make all the adjustments of exceptional items which are impacting this reported net income. So friends, as you can see in the next row, row number 76 and then row number 77, we have exceptional items above EBIT and below EBIT. So basically guys, exceptional items above EBIT, we can link these exceptional items directly from cell H70, which is exceptional items for EBIT. The reason is all exceptional items which has affected your EBIT will also impact your net income. So there is no point punching in these exceptional items again. So we can directly link these exceptional items from EBIT adjustments. Once we are done with the linking of these exceptional items, in the next row, we have to punch in exceptional items below EBIT. So, whatever exceptional items company has reported below EBIT, which has affected only net income but not EBIT of the company, should be adjusted separately here. Friends, once we are done with the adjustment of exceptional items above EBIT and below EBIT, we have to reverse tax impact on the same. So you can see less tax on adjustments. So whatever adjustment you are making here in row number 76 and 77, we have to reverse tax impact on the same, as net income is after tax. So my adjustment should also be after tax. Friends, in the next row, we need to adjust impact of non-tax deductible adjustments. Here, we need to make adjustments of those exceptional items which are non-tax deductible, means on which we don't get any tax deduction. So at the time of reversing impact of those exceptional items, there will not be any reversal of tax impact on the same. Example of such non-tax deductible items could be impairment of goodwill. So in case of impairment of goodwill, company does not get any tax deduction on this impairment. So whenever we'll be reversing impact of these exceptional items, I will not reverse impact of tax deduction on the same. Friends, once we are done with the punching in these exceptional items which are impacting my net income, in the next row, row number 80, I'll be calculating adjusted net income or clean net income, which would be simply sum of reported net income and then reversal of all adjustments net of tax. Once we are done with the adjusted net income or clean net income, from this clean net income, we need to adjust share of minority interest. So we have to subtract share of minority interest to get adjusted net income available to common shareholders of the company, which will be total net income, clean net income minus share of minority. Now friends, this net income is available for my common shareholders, and on the basis of this clean net income which is available to my common shareholder, I'll calculate my clean EPS, which will be total net income divided by diluted weighted average number of shares. So this diluted weighted average number of shares will come from the filings of the company, and my EPS would be net income divided by weighted average number of shares of the company for that period. And to remove this error, we can apply a formula here, if error. We are getting this error, guys, because we have no values in both the cells. So friends, as we are done with the punching of these financials of the company and adjustment on these financials, finally we will calculate LTM financials of the company in next column. Now friends, let's start with calculation of key financials of Coca-Cola. For that, we have to get into financials of Coca-Cola. So let's get into Coca-Cola filings. So first I'm punching in annual financials, 10K December 16. In this filing, we have to go to income statement. So we can refer index table of content here. In table of content, I can see financial statements and supplementary data. This is on page number 72. So let's go to page number 72 here. This is my page number 72. Here you can see first statement is income statement on the very next page. Then we have a comprehensive statement of comprehensive income, consolidated balance sheet, and cash flow statement. So let's go to the income statement, as I'll get my key financials, sales, EBIT, EBITDA from income statement. This is income statement of Coca-Cola. Zoom it. Yes. Friends, before you start punching numbers for the company, please check that it should be consolidated statement of income. So as it is mentioned at the top, it is consolidated. It means it's a complete income statement for parent company, including its subsidiary. And as you can see in my table, key financials table, I have to first punch in reported sales. So in Coca-Cola, my sales is 41863 for the latest year, December 16. So let's punch in this number in our Excel file, 41863. Friends, when you're punching in numbers, you have to make sure that the numbers you are punching in should be in millions. So if these numbers are already into millions, you can punch them as it is. Otherwise, you have to convert them into millions. As in case of Coca-Cola, we can see all these financials are in millions. So we can directly punch these numbers without converting them. Next I need to punch in reported EBIT or operating income. So what operating income company Coca-Cola has reported? This is my operating net income and it is 8626. Let's punch in 8626. Friends, I'll do this adjustment of exceptional items later. First, let's punch reported numbers of the company. So once we are done with the reported net operating income, next we need to add depreciation amortization expense to calculate EBITDA of the company. So friends, let's source depreciation amortization expense for Coca-Cola. Friends, as you can see in this income statement, I'm not seeing any depreciation amortization expense. There is a cost of goods sold, there is SG&A expense, there is other operating charges, and we got operating income. And as depreciation amortization expense is an operating expense, it should be reported above this. So it means what? It doesn't mean that company does not have any depreciation amortization expense. The reason could be why we are not seeing this depreciation amortization expense on the face of income statement is it may be hidden somewhere in these line item. Maybe it is hidden in the cost of goods sold, or maybe it is hidden in the SG&A expense. So how we source it? Friends, the best way to source depreciation amortization expense is taking it from the cash flow statement. As Wherever this line item is included, being a non-cash item, company has to report it separately in the cash flow statement when it is calculating cash from operation. So let's go to the cash flow statement. So this is my cash flow statement of cash flows, and as you can see, under operating activities, cash from operating activities, company has adjusted depreciation amortization expense, which is 1787. So this depreciation expense of 1787 is basically the one which was adjusted in the income statement above EBIT, and because it was hidden in some of these line items, we could not see them on the face of the income statement, but we can easily source it from the cash flow statement. So let's take this 1787 in our depreciation amortization expense. So we got our EBITDA here. Next, net income. So let's pick this net income, and it will come from the income statement. Please come above. This is my income statement, and friends, here we have consolidated net income, which is 6550. Friends, you have to pick total net income, not the one which is after minority interest, not the 6527, because minority interest will separately adjust in our Excel template. So the total net income of the company before share of the minority interest is 6550. Then friends, we will be making all the adjustments here in row number 76, 77. In row number 78, we'll be reversing tax impact on these adjustments, and in row number 79, we'll be making adjustment for non-tax deductible adjustments. Once we are done with this process, I'll get my clean net income, which in this case coming same, as we have not done any adjustment yet. From this clean net income, I'll be adjusting share of minority interest from this clean net income, and finally I'll get my clean net income available to common shareholders. From this clean net income, to reach at EPS, we need to divide this net income with the weighted average number of shares of the company. So once we got this clean net income, we need to divide this net income with the weighted average diluted shares of the company to get EPS. So let's get this weighted average number of shares. And as you can see guys, on the income statement itself, on the face of it, there is a average shares outstanding assuming diluted 4367. We'll take these 4367 here, 1.5. Friends, an important point to mention here is, to calculate EPS, we always use weighted average shares, not the shares as on date. So you cannot use shares what you considered for the calculation of market cap, as these are the shares outstanding as on updation date of 26 Jan 18. They are not the average shares for the period. But for the calculation of EPS, we consider shares outstanding for the period for which this net income is calculated. And this weighted average shares can be directly sourced from the filings of the company. So as in this case, you can see Coca-Cola has reported average shares outstanding assuming dilution. So this is average shares. Here the weightage is time period for which these number of shares were outstanding. Friends, as we are done with the calculation of annual numbers, though we have not done any adjustment part here. Let's move to the current stub number and then we'll do adjustment. So let's open quarterly filing of Coca-Cola. So friends, this is quarterly report of Coca-Cola for September 17. So let's scroll down and go to table of content, and table of content says the financial statements, consolidated income statement is on page number 2. So let's go to the page number 2. Here we go. Statement of income. Now friends, in this statement of income, you can see company has reported two sets of number, one for 3 months and one for 9 months. So these 9 months number are basically cumulative number, and the numbers which are relevant for our calculation of LTM would be these 9 months one. Under these 9 months number, as you can see, company has reported 9 months number ending on September 17, which is our current stub. And next to this, you can see company has also reported corresponding 9 months number of the previous year. This is my prior stub. So friends, let's pick these numbers in our Excel. First is operating revenue, which is 27898, and for the prior year is 32454. So 27898 would be in my current stub, and in the prior stub it is 32454. Next, reported EBIT or income from operation. So reported EBIT of the company is for the current 9 month 6180, and the prior one is 7271. 6180 and 7271. As we are not doing adjustment up right now, we'll do this later. So my clean EBIT is same as reported. Depreciation amortization expense. So let's pick this from cash flow statement. You can scroll down. So this is my statement of cash flows. And here you can see these numbers are for 9 months only, what we require for. And my 9 months current, so my current 9 month depreciation amortization is 926 and prior is 1323. 26 1323. My EBITDA would be 7106 and 8594. Net income. So for net income, we have to go to income statement, scroll up. Here we go. Consolidated net income, not the one which is available to common shareholders. So my consolidated net income is 4000 for current 9 month and prior 9 month 6003. 4000 million and 6003 million. We'll be doing this adjustment later. So my adjusted net income is coming same. I'll adjust share of minority interest from this net income, clean net income, and common shareholders net income. Now friends, to calculate EPS, we need weighted average shares diluted for current stub and prior stub. So in the current stub, my average shares outstanding diluted were 4327, and in the prior stub 4374. So EPS is 0.92 and 1.37. Now friends, let's calculate LTM numbers. So here it's already calculated. 37307 is my LTM revenue. LTM EBIT, it is annual, which is 8626 plus current stub 6180 minus prior stub 7271. It is coming 7535. So we can copy this formula for other line items. For EPS as well, and let's increase decimal point here. I'm keeping it up to 2 decimal points. EPS. So friends, as you can see, we are done with the reported LTM financials of Coca-Cola. These numbers are not adjusted for exceptional items. In the next part of the video, we will calculate clean financials, clean LTM financials of Coca-Cola, where we will reverse impact of exceptional income or expenses item from these reported numbers. That's it for this video, friends. Thank you.